Hello everybody and welcome back to finally another update on the Aqua 1 Mini Reef 90, and it's been a while and I'm probably going to be doing quite a few updates on the tank over the next couple of weeks, as there is quite a lot to cover. I won't be able to fit it in all in one video. So for today we're going to start off with, we've added a couple new pieces of livestock to the tank. So if we take a closer look, we can see right on the rock here we've got a Mexican turbo snail to clean up the rocks and the back glass a little bit. We've got a bit of an algae problem. I'll get to that in just a second. We've got a conch snail that will just sand sift through all the sand, try and keep it quite clean. He's been there for about literally 3 days, about 2 or 3 days. And then over here, half buried in the sand, that is a sand sifting starfish. He's been in there for about a week, I'd say. Yeah, about a little bit less than a week. So he'll be doing the same jobs that the conch snail that will be doing, but obviously a lot more efficiently. Moves a lot faster. It's obviously a lot bigger. It can eat a lot more food. As you can see, the sand is very, it's covered in dinoflagellates. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. That does need clearing up. As for the fish, I'll keep the fish the same. I'll never add any more. Just the two Bango cardinals, which are doing really well. They've been stuck on about brine shrimp since the day they've been in here, but I've managed to get them on a certain type of flake food because I wanted to get them on the Spectrum flake food, which is probably the most nutritious food I could feed them. So I just wanted to try a basic flake food first before I move on to the Spectrum. So I'll show you that pot now. So here's the pot of the food. So it's just basic, really cheap flake food. I've been feeding this for about, how long? 2 weeks, I'd say. About a little bit more than 2 weeks. And just strict feeding it. It took a couple days, but after about 5 days, they really got onto this food. And then after a week, they're loving it. They really do like this food, and it is definitely a lot more nutritious than just feeding brine shrimp. And then I'm actually getting through this reasonably quick. As soon as I run out of this, I'll move on to the Spectrum flake food, which is basically this, exactly the same, but about 1,000,000 times more nutritious. So hopefully they get on well with that. So yeah, I do have some dinoflagellates in the tank, which is a type of algae that can populate in the tank if your nutrients are pretty much zero, like 1 and below. I tested them last night and they are at 0. Pretty much there's no nutrients in here at all. Phosphates are probably really low as well. And then obviously we've got light intensity, which I've halved as well. I've halved the intensity of it to try and slow that down. So what we need to do is try and up the nutrients because the skimmer's on constantly. I feed about twice a day. So what I've done is the skimmer is off now. I've halved the light intensity, and we're now feeding at the same twice a day, but just a little bit more to try and up the nutrients. And then we'll test them in a few days to see if they've risen. And then if not, then we're going to have to try something else to try and up the nutrients. I've got a little Jecod Sow-8 Wave pump that came out of my old system, so I've just strapped it on here. Would like an AI Nero 3 at some point, but this is a temporary wave pump. I've got it on about 1,500 litres an hour constantly, and then I just turn it off. I've got it off right now for the video, and then I turn it off when I feed. That's why the cardinals are out loads, because they think it's feeding time. I'll put some food in just a second. But I did have a bit of a cyano outbreak. That's why I did add that on there to try and up the flow a little bit so it can't populate. And the cyanobacteria is gone now. I used some Cyano RX and that had a massive effect on it, and it's pretty much all gone now. But to replace the cyano, we've now got dinoflagellates. So obviously that's because the nutrients are kind of starving themselves out. So we're going to have to try and up the nutrients. We've added some more flow as well, so that should help. Right, so what I'm going to quickly do now is open my pot of food, and we're just going to experiment putting a little bit of food in. So they've been on this flake food for about a couple of weeks now, and I'm going to show you now how much they really like. So I'll put a fair bit in because remember we want to up those nutrients. So just sprinkle it up in the corner, sprinkle it about, and then it just mix about. And then when the wave pump comes on, it would just mix it all around the tank, and then it would just go within half an hour. It's a little bit messy. It's the only thing I don't really like about the flake food, but it's literally the only thing they'll eat. I did try the Spectrum pellets for about 5 days straight, like strict feeding it, and they would not touch that at all. So as you can see, they are really enjoying this flake food. I'm really hoping they get on that Spectrum one, because that's really nutritious. It'd be amazing if I can get them on that. So it does float around the tank a little bit, does make it a little bit messy, but in like 10-20 minutes it's all probably most of it goes down the overflow, and they eat quite a lot, especially the male, which is the larger one. That's the one at the top now. That's the male one. He eats a lot of this flake food. To be honest, I might even put more in. Yeah, I'm going to put some more in. Where's the pot? There it is. I'm going to put a little bit more in and kind of feed what I like at this point, because of nutrients are so low. Put a little bit more in. Trust me, you'll be really surprised how much these cardinals will eat, especially the male one. Eats a lot of food. And I do have a bit of an aptasia problem, but I did expect that really. I've got a few aptasias knocking about, but some of them have actually died from the dinoflagellates. Like, it's kind of like suffocated them, which is good. There's one right there by my finger that has literally pretty much died. It's all tightened up into a ball, and it's kind of like melting away. So that's a good thing, really. It's not a major problem really, because there's no coral in here. There's nothing, they can't disturb anything. But once I start adding coral, I really need to get on that aptasia problem and zap them all. Maybe even put some more peppermint shrimps in here. I was even looking at the aptasia eating nudibranchs, which are supposed to be really good, so I might even try that. So as you can see, the wave pump just come on. So I turned it off just before I filmed this video. It's got a 10-minute timer, so obviously it's back on now. So the flow in there, it's not too heavy. I can't have it too high, obviously, because the Banggai cardinal fish really don't like strong flow. Obviously when it's feeding time they love it. Food goes everywhere. So I want to keep the flow as low as I can. I don't want the cardinals unhappy, but they just seem to like that flow. It's on about 1,500 litres now, plus the return. It's 1,000 litres now. I'm pretty sure I got that return on, or maybe 2,000. I think it's 1,000. So yeah, it's not too much flow in there. It's enough. They don't seem to mind. When the coral's in there, might have to jack it up a little bit. We'll see. But hopefully the cardinals are okay with that. Just want to again show you the cabinet of this tank. So I've got all the equipment for this tank. So I've got some kitchen roll to clean the glass, and then we've got some Fritz glass cleaner as well to go with that. We've got a towel to dry my hands. We've got a little pumper to go through the sand and the rocks, which I am doing about a couple of times a week to get these dinoflagellates stirring up so they don't have time to settle. We've got a little dosing container, which I will not be using yet, but I will be using it at some point, obviously, over the next 6 months. When I start adding some coral in here, we'll have to start dosing, which I do still have my original doser from the previous tank that I barely even used. And then on top, obviously, we've got the very messy electricals, but there's about 10, maybe 12 plugs in here. It's kind of hard to keep it organised. There's a lot of cables running. Around the back, it's quite messy, but at the front, it doesn't look too bad. I've got here, this is a little pot that I used to stir up the brine shrimp. Won't be using that anymore because obviously I'm not feeding brine shrimp anymore. And then I've got a little brush to brush off the overflow. If I show you, so this overflow kind of gets blocked up with all this all this stuff. A lot of it's dinoflagellates. So you just brush it off. And it's all cleared now. So I want to make sure that doesn't get all too clogged up. So I think that's going to do it for this week's upload. Next week we will probably do a more in-depth update. There's a couple more things I need to go through, but I don't want this video being too long. I just want to spread this over 2 videos, and there's a few things I will be doing to this tank over the next couple of weeks in terms of removing all these this dinoflagellates problem, which I'm looking to clear up within the next 1 to 2 weeks. First job is upping the nutrients to see if that has an effect. I could even shorten the light period and lower the intensity if that doesn't work. Maybe up the flow. Obviously I would just keep trying new things until I can clear this problem. But thank you all for watching this video. I know it's been a while, but I promise I will start getting on these videos now. We'll have another upload within the next 7 days. So thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.